Okay, I'm still wearing my Michigan gear. In a previous discussion, we talked about the consequences associated with the sign stealing scandal and the guidance or the conclusions and penalties brought down by the NCAA against the University of Michigan and certain named individuals, including Connor Stallions, Jim Harbaugh, Denard Robinson, and Sharon Moore. Okay, a couple of other guys settled out. University of Michigan was also found to have failed to monitor what was happening in the football program. I didn't get a chance to tell you what happened. Okay, I just told you the consequences and the penalties and the fines and all that. Okay, so what happened? Between 2021 and 2023, Connor Stallions, who is no longer with the program, okay, arranged for individuals to conduct off-campus, in-person scouting of future Michigan regular season opponents. Now, I know that some people are already saying, well, sign stealing is not a violation, and people do it all the time. Sign stealing in games is not a rule violation, but scouting opponents in advance, in person, or with technology is a violation of the NCAA rules. You go look it up for yourself. Bylaw 11.6.1. So this activity in and of itself was a rule violation, just to set the table there. Okay. All right. Now, he arranged for these individuals to conduct this off-campus, in-person scouting. And that meant that he bought and transferred tickets to them. And these individuals included staff members, interns, and his personal acquaintances. The group was called the KGB. So you know, they was up to some shenanigans and no good. Okay? So this group, they would go to the games. They would film the signal callers. They would take that film back. They would give it to Stallions, and he would decipher the signals. Now, Stallions himself called the film the dirty film. So you got the KGB recording dirty film and giving it to Stallions. Okay? Stallions, I'm sorry. Now, Stallions himself personally attended one game where he impersonated a staff member of a team playing opposing Michigan State. Okay. Now, across all of these instances, there were 56 instances, 13 future regular season opponents, and 52 games that the KGB recorded the dirty film. Okay. And so this is just a violation of the impermissible scouting rule. Okay. Now, even more, he spent $35,000 alone in tickets alone in 2022. Okay. So he was doing this from 21 to 23. They did not give us, how much he spent for tickets in the other years in the official record, but $35,000 in 2022 for tickets alone. And these people are going all across the country to facilitate this filming of this dirty film. So he got the film back. He deciphered it, and he documented thousands of signals for use by other staff members. That doesn't seem to be in dispute. Okay. Okay. So once all this started to get discovered and the investigation came to light, they just failed to cooperate. Okay. Stallions, Harbaugh, Moore, Robinson, they did any number of things, including destroying relevant materials, providing false and misleading information, and Stallions was instructing the interns to delete emails, photos, texts, and videos related to the scheme. He himself threw one of his phones that included some incriminating material into a pond, which he's admitted. Okay. And he violated confidentiality of the proceedings by disclosing information related to the investigation to the public. Presumably that was what he did with his Netflix video. Now, Moore also deleted 52 messages, text messages in a text message thread after the October 23 report broke about the scheme, and Moore lied about deleting them. And Harbaugh just wouldn't cooperate at all. He wouldn't provide any records, and he wouldn't participate in any interviews. So Harbaugh just gave him the finger. Okay. So the NCAA, or the Committee of Infractions, found that Harbaugh did not embrace or enforce a culture of compliance. He had a contentious relationship with the compliance office, and his coaches and staff regularly disregarded NCAA rules because he himself had no respect for them. The chief compliance officer was not welcomed. She was rebuked, dismissed, and disregarded by Harbaugh and his staff, according to the official record. Okay. Now, so that was what happened. 3 years, a whole bunch of games, a whole bunch of people, KGB, dirty film, just the scale of the operation, the time frame, the number of people involved, the resources expended made this such a significant matter that it no longer became a just one-off, you could overlook it. Okay. Now, the penalties we discussed before were significantly financial penalties. Okay. Now, Michigan, Harbaugh, and Moore were all repeat offenders, and a lot of these violations were level 1 violations, which was, according to the NCAA, sufficient grounds for a multi-year postseason ban. But they opted to not do that. And in exchange, since they said it would harm the athletes, they opted to do offsetting financial penalties in exchange. Okay, so offsetting financial penalties. Now, it was not unusual for one of the penalties will be to remove some scholarships. So a limited number of scholarships would not be available as a penalty. Well, the committee determined that since the NCAA was transitioning from scholarships to roster spots, and there had been no clear determination whether removing roster spots would become the proxy for what had been removing scholarship slots. So there's like, we're not going to do any of that. We're just going to make you pay more money. Now, it probably wasn't a far reach to say, hey, these two things are now, one of them has replaced the other, so we should be able to use the consequence with the new thing, but they opted not to. Okay. And so they converted this loss of scholarships into a financial penalty as well. Now, Norman Bay, the chief hearing officer for the Committee on Infractions, said, and this is a quote, so let me pick up my book and read it. "You don't put together a network of individuals called the KGB that records what they call dirty film, where the cost of doing this is in the tens of thousands of dollars over 3 seasons, unless you intend to gain a substantial competitive advantage." End quote. So that's what happened and how it played out. Okay. Now, a couple questions. Should they have used money as a punishment instead of a 2-year postseason ban? Is that a reasonable proxy? Is money an effective deterrent for this kind of behavior? Okay. Will the NCAA even see another case like this? Or will the College Sports Commission now take over and take center stage? Did it even help Michigan? We don't know if it helped, but for sure we know it didn't hurt to have all that additional intel about the signals going on across the field. Okay. So I think that, the NCAA reasonably thought about what would happen to the athletes, but I think we also have to determine what the rule is going to be that will be an effective deterrent. And in an era where money for large athletic departments such as Michigan, okay, they will have access to dollars, whether penalizing with dollars is effective. I don't know. Okay. So in any event, okay, Michigan is going to be appealing the ruling, and they said they don't like how it came down, and they think that the committee did not understand the facts properly and all this kind of stuff. So we'll see how that goes. But this has been about 10 minutes, a little bit longer than I usually like, but it was just a lot of facts here that I wanted to share with you. So let me know what you think. Did they do the right thing by penalizing money? Okay, as opposed to the postseason ban, which these infractions would ordinarily lead the old NCAA to? Or was this the right move? From an athlete perspective, clearly, the athletes are not going to be penalized in an on the field, off season kind of way. So that's what happened. It was messy. It's still messy. Shenanigans in Michigan. Hopefully, Coach Moore has a culture of compliance so they don't find themselves here again. Anyway, that's where we are. As always, let me know what you think.